You've probably heard the phrase, just stay positive. Sounds harmless, right? But here's the truth. Positivity, when it's forced, can actually turn toxic. Let me explain. Imagine you're going through something heavy. Maybe it's a breakup, maybe it's financial stress, maybe it's anxiety that just won't let you sleep at night, and someone tells you, just think positive. In that moment, it doesn't feel like encouragement. It feels like dismissal. It feels like they're saying, I don't want to deal with your real feelings, so cover them up with a smile. That's toxic positivity. It's not strength. It's denial dressed up as encouragement. The danger here is subtle. When you force yourself to be positive no matter what, you actually end up ignoring the very emotions that are trying to guide you. Emotions are signals. Stress tells you something's off. Sadness tells you you've lost something important. Anger tells you a boundary's been crossed. But if all you ever say to yourself is, just be happy, just stay positive, you silence those signals, and when you silence them, you can't learn from them. You can't grow. You end up stacking unresolved pain under layers of fake smiles until one day it spills out, and usually in ways that hurt you or the people around you. Now, don't get me wrong. Positivity is powerful. But there's a difference between positivity that lifts you up and positivity that shuts you down. Blind optimism says everything's fine. Grounded positivity says this is hard, but I believe I can get through it. One is a mask. The other is a mindset, and you can feel the difference. Blind optimism feels heavy, fake, like you're carrying the weight of a lie. Grounded positivity feels steady, hopeful, like your feet are still on the ground, but your eyes are on the horizon. Let me put it this way. If you're standing in the middle of a storm, telling yourself, the sun is shining, the sky is clear, doesn't stop you from getting soaked. It just makes you unprepared. But if you say, this storm is real, I can't stop the rain, but I can grab an umbrella and wait it out. That's a positivity that actually serves you. It acknowledges reality while choosing hope. That's the shift. And here's the thing. People around you can tell when you're faking it. They can see when your smile doesn't reach your eyes, when your I'm fine is really a plea for help. When you allow yourself to be real about your struggles, your positivity carries more weight because it's honest. It's not pretending, it's courage, and courage is contagious. It gives permission for the people around you to be real, too. This is why toxic positivity is so damaging. It isolates you. It makes you feel like you're the only one who can't just be happy, while everyone else seems to be doing fine. But the truth is, nobody's fine all the time. And the most positive people you know, they're not positive because they've never faced darkness. They're positive because they've walked through it, felt it fully, and chose to keep moving. So when you catch yourself saying, I should just be positive, pause. Ask yourself, am I using positivity as a mask or as a mindset? Am I avoiding my pain, or am I honoring it while still choosing to believe in something better? Because the kind of positivity that helps you grow isn't the one that denies your struggle. It's the one that says, this is real, but so is my strength. That's the difference between toxic positivity and true positivity. One hides, the other heals. Here's the trap so many of us fall into. We confuse positive thinking with problem solving. We think if we just repeat, it's going to be okay, it's going to work out, then somehow the universe is going to handle everything for us. But here's the reality. Denial never solves problems. Hoping things get better without facing them head on isn't positivity, it's avoidance. And what we avoid doesn't disappear, it grows. Think about it like this. If you've got a leak in your roof and you tell yourself, don't worry, the sun will come out tomorrow, everything will be fine, does that fix the hole? No, you can stay positive all day long, but the next time it rains, your living room's still going to get flooded. That's what denial does. It gives you the illusion of comfort but leaves you unprepared for reality. The same thing happens in our personal lives. You might be in a relationship that's draining you, and instead of acknowledging the red flags, you tell yourself, no, it's okay, it'll get better. Or maybe you're avoiding that stack of bills piling up on your counter, convincing yourself that if you just stay optimistic, somehow it'll sort itself out. But deep down, you know the truth. Avoidance doesn't protect you. It delays the pain and multiplies the cost. And here's why this is dangerous. When you stay stuck in that surface level positivity, you rob yourself of the power that comes from reality. Real growth only starts when you tell yourself the truth. When you stop saying, everything's fine, and start saying, this is tough, but I can face it. That shift, right there, is where strength is built. Because positivity without action is like stepping on the gas with no car. There's energy, there's noise, but you're not going anywhere. Some of us were taught to believe that acknowledging problems makes us negative, that if you talk about what's wrong, you're somehow speaking failure into existence. But the truth is the opposite. Ignoring your pain doesn't make you strong. Pretending you don't have problems doesn't make you brave. Denial doesn't build resilience. It weakens it. Strength comes from saying, yes, this is real, and yes, I can deal with it. That's what real positivity looks like. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop denying what's wrong, you actually create space for solutions to show up. Facing your debt forces you to learn discipline with money. Facing your loneliness pushes you to build deeper, healthier connections. Facing your fear teaches you courage in ways that empty optimism never could. Real progress begins with honesty, and honesty clears the fog that denial creates. I want you to hear this: positive thinking is not about shutting your eyes and pretending the fire isn't burning. It's about opening your eyes, seeing the flames for what they are, and saying, I can figure out how to put this out. That's not negativity, that's ownership. And ownership is the foundation of every breakthrough you'll ever have. So the next time you're tempted to cover up your struggles with a blanket of good vibes only, stop. Ask yourself, am I using positivity as a shield to hide behind, or as a tool to move forward? Because denial doesn't solve problems. Honesty does. One of the sneakiest ways positivity can work against you is when it turns into avoidance. It feels good to tell yourself, I'll figure it out tomorrow, or everything's fine, no need to worry. In the moment, that little shot of optimism gives you comfort. It takes the edge off the anxiety, but here's the catch: it also delays action. And the more you delay, the bigger the problem grows. Positivity, when it becomes an escape, is just procrastination wearing a smile. Let's make it practical. Imagine you're behind on a big project at work. Instead of admitting, I'm in trouble here, I need to get started, you tell yourself, it'll all work out, I'm sure I'll be fine. That thought feels nice. It calms your nerves. But while you're telling yourself that, the deadline is still getting closer, the pressure is still building, and the work is still undone. That temporary comfort becomes long-term stress. Or take relationships. Maybe there are cracks starting to show, communication is breaking down, trust feels shaky, but instead of addressing it, you keep repeating, no, we're good, everything's fine. You want to believe that because the alternative is hard. Confronting issues risks conflict, risks pain, so you lean on positivity as a shield. But avoidance doesn't heal relationships, it quietly erodes them. By the time the truth finally surfaces, it's usually too late to fix. The reason avoidance feels so attractive is because it lets you dodge discomfort in the moment. Nobody enjoys looking their problems in the eye. Nobody loves admitting, I'm failing in this area of my life. So we trick ourselves with positive thoughts to avoid the sting of reality. But every time you do that, you're trading short-term relief for long-term consequences. You're essentially saying, I'd rather feel better now and deal with worse later. and that deal never works in your favor. This is why people often confuse positivity with progress. Just because you're saying nice things to yourself doesn't mean you're moving forward. It's like sitting in a parked car, playing the engine sounds through the speakers, and convincing yourself you're on a road trip. It feels like movement, but you're not going anywhere. Real progress requires facing the uncomfortable truth, not covering it with optimistic wallpaper. Here's the deeper danger. When you consistently use positivity as avoidance, you start training yourself to run from responsibility. You build the habit of sugarcoating instead of problem solving, and habits compound. Before you know it, you're stuck in a cycle of telling yourself everything's fine while quietly drowning under the weight of everything you haven't dealt with. But here's the good news: you can break that cycle. It starts with being brutally honest with yourself. Ask, am I being positive right now because I truly believe I can handle this, or because I don't want to face it? That question alone can expose whether your mindset is helping you grow or keeping you stuck. True positivity doesn't run from responsibility. It embraces it. It says, this is hard, this is uncomfortable, but I'll take it on because I know avoiding it only makes it worse. That kind of positivity builds resilience. It strengthens your character. It doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you better. So when positivity starts becoming your escape route, stop. Remind yourself that facing the problem, however messy it feels, is the only way forward. Because positivity without accountability isn't hope, it's hiding. One of the heaviest burdens people carry is the belief that they always have to be positive. That no matter what they're going through, no matter how much it hurts, they need to keep smiling, stay upbeat, and never let the cracks show. At first, it sounds admirable. Who doesn't want to be the strong one? Who doesn't want to be known as the person who never complains, who always looks on the bright side? But the truth is, living under that pressure doesn't make you stronger. It makes you exhausted. It forces you to wear a mask every single day, and masks get heavy over time. Think about it. Have you ever had one of those days where everything felt like too much, but you told yourself, I can't let anyone see this. I have to stay positive. You plastered on a smile. You nodded through conversations. You told people you were fine. But deep down, you weren't fine, and instead of feeling supported or connected, you felt isolated. That's what happens when positivity turns into pressure. It doesn't connect you to people. It cuts you off from them. When we force ourselves to always be positive, we end up dismissing our own emotions. We push away sadness, anger, frustration, anything that doesn't fit the happy narrative we think we're supposed to live in. But here's the thing. Emotions that get ignored don't go away. They pile up. And when they pile up, they show up in ways you don't expect. Napping at someone you love, shutting down in the middle of an important conversation, or suddenly feeling empty when you thought you had everything under control. There's also the relationship side of this. When you're constantly pretending to be fine, the people closest to you can sense the disconnect. They know something's off, even if you don't say it. And the more you hide behind that forced positivity, the harder it becomes to build authentic connections, because real relationships are built on honesty, not performance. People can't support the version of you they never get to see. And here's the irony: sometimes the bravest, most positive thing you can do is admit that you're not okay. It sounds backwards, but vulnerability actually makes positivity stronger. When you let yourself feel sadness, when you acknowledge pain, when you say, this is hard right now, you're not being negative, you're being real. And once you're real, you can begin to heal. Then positivity doesn't feel like a mask. It feels like hope. The pressure to always stay upbeat comes from this cultural obsession with good vibes only. But life isn't good vibes only. Life is messy. It's joy and heartbreak, wins and losses, breakthroughs and breakdowns. If you're only allowed to show the bright side, you end up living half a life. And half a life isn't fulfilling, it's lonely. True positivity doesn't demand that you hide your struggles. It doesn't shame you for feeling pain. True positivity says, I can be honest about where I am and still believe in where I'm going. That balance, honesty and hope, is what makes positivity sustainable. Because when you stop pretending, when you let go of the pressure to always have it all together, your positivity stops being a performance and starts being real. So don't let the weight of always being positive crush you. You don't need to fake a smile to be strong. You don't need to deny your pain to prove your worth. The truth is, your strength is not in always being okay. Your strength is in allowing yourself to be human. When people think about positivity, they often imagine it as this constant stream of cheerful thoughts, like you're supposed to erase every bit of pain and replace it with sunshine. But that's not real life, and it's not even real positivity. Real positivity isn't about pretending the struggle doesn't exist. It's about holding two things at the same time, honesty about where you are and hope about where you're headed. That's what balanced positivity looks like. Hope and honesty working together, not fighting each other. See, when you tell yourself everything's fine, when it clearly isn't, your brain knows you're lying. And when you lie to yourself, you lose trust in yourself. But when you're able to say, this is hard, I don't like it, but I know I can handle it, that feels different. That's believable. That's a statement your mind and heart can agree on. It's not about blind optimism. It's about grounded optimism. Think of it this way. If you're climbing a mountain, positivity doesn't mean pretending the path is smooth. It means saying, yeah, this trail is steep. I'm sweating, my legs are tired, but I can take another step. You don't deny the climb. You acknowledge it while keeping your eyes on the top. That's balanced positivity. It doesn't erase the reality of the struggle. It gives you the strength to keep moving through it. The problem is, so many people believe that admitting their pain makes them weak or negative. They think if they acknowledge fear or sadness, they'll somehow lose their power. But it's actually the opposite. Owning your feelings makes your positivity stronger because it's rooted in truth. When you admit, I'm scared, but I'll try anyway, that's real courage. When you admit, I'm hurting, but I won't give up, that's resilience. Positivity without honesty is fragile. Positivity with honesty is unbreakable. This is why balance matters. Honesty keeps you grounded, and hope pulls you forward. If you only have honesty, life feels heavy. You see the problem, but no light at the end of the tunnel. If you only have hope without honesty, you're living in denial, pretending the tunnel doesn't exist. But when you put them together, when you can say, the tunnel is real, and so is the light at the end of it, you find the strength to keep walking. And here's where this becomes powerful in everyday life. Imagine you're going through financial struggles. If you only focus on hope, you might tell yourself, it'll all work out somehow, and never actually change your habits. If you only focus on honesty, you might drown in the stress of debt. But if you bring them together, you can admit, yes, my situation is tough, but I can take small steps to turn it around. That combination keeps you from despair while keeping you accountable. The same is true with relationships. Balanced positivity isn't pretending everything's perfect. It's admitting when things are broken while believing they can be rebuilt. It's saying, this hurts, but it's not hopeless. That mindset gives you the strength to repair instead of hiding behind denial or collapsing under the weight of discouragement. So when you think about positivity, don't picture it as this endless supply of forced smiles and fake affirmations. Picture it as a steady anchor, one hand holding on to reality, the other hand reaching forward toward hope. That's the kind of positivity that carries you through the hardest seasons of life. Because when you embrace both the struggle and the possibility, you're no longer pretending. You're living with truth and power. That's the kind of positivity that doesn't just make you feel better in the moment. It makes you stronger for the journey. The biggest misunderstanding about positive thinking is the idea that it works on its own. People think if they just repeat affirmations or visualize success long enough, somehow life will magically bend in their favor. But here's the truth. Positive thinking without action is just daydreaming. It feels good. It gives you a little spark of motivation. But if it never moves you to do anything different, it changes nothing. Real positivity has to be paired with effort, with choices, with action that backs it up. Otherwise, it's just empty words. Think about the times you've told yourself, "I'm going to get in shape. I can do this. I believe in myself." Those thoughts are great, but if they don't get you into the gym, if they don't get you eating differently, they don't move you closer to your goal. Belief alone doesn't change your body. Discipline does. Or maybe you've said, "I'm going to start that business. I know I can be successful." That's positive thinking, sure, but unless you start researching, making plans, taking small steps, it's just a fantasy. Action is what gives your thoughts power. Here's where a lot of people get stuck. They confuse feeling good with making progress. They get a hit of motivation from thinking positive, and it tricks them into believing they've already taken a step forward. But positivity is not the destination. It's fuel for the journey. If you never put that fuel to use, it just sits in the tank. It has potential, but it never gets you anywhere. And let's be clear, action doesn't always have to be big. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Sometimes action is as simple as sending that one email, making that one phone call, taking that one walk, or putting away that $1. What matters is that your positivity doesn't just stay in your head. It shows up in your hands, your habits, your choices. Small steps, taken consistently, are how you turn "I believe" into "I achieved." The beauty of pairing action with positivity is that it creates momentum. The more steps you take, the more proof you give yourself that your mindset is real. It's no longer just "I think I can." It becomes "I know I can because I already did." Every little action becomes evidence that your positive thoughts weren't empty. They were the beginning of something solid. That's what builds confidence. That's what builds trust in yourself. But if you don't take action, positivity can actually start to backfire. After a while, repeating the same affirmations without results makes you feel fake. It creates frustration because you're saying one thing but living another. And that gap between what you say and what you do, that's where self-doubt sneaks in. That's when positivity starts to feel hollow. The only way to close that gap is with action. So when you think about positive thinking, stop looking at it as the whole solution. See it as step one. The thought sparks the belief sparks the courage, and the courage sparks the action. That's the chain reaction. That's how you take positivity from something that sounds nice to something that transforms your life. Because at the end of the day, positive thoughts alone won't build your future. But positive thoughts, backed by action, will.